All right, folks, we've been covering the drama out of Birmingham with the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute after they decided to rescind an award for Angela Davis. The decision was made on Friday. It has led to huge uproar in Birmingham. Now, the three top members on the board of directors, they have resigned as a result of that decision. Chairman Mike Oatridge, who works for Honda, First Vice Chair Walter Bodie, and Secretary Janice Kelsey are no longer members of the board. They have released a statement finally commenting on this issue. Joining us live from Birmingham is AL.com columnist Roy Johnson, who has been covering this. Roy, it is no shock that this is happening. I knew it was going to come down, and it came down today. They have been under intense pressure for the last 4 days since making that decision.
Well, as you said, there's no surprise that these shoes finally dropped, and I expect there will be more. This is a big blow to the Institute. It's a black eye that certainly extends around the world. The coverage has been global. You had to see some heads roll, and these were the first three. I imagine there's going to be some reconfiguring of the board before this is all over, and certainly more scrutiny on a board that is now still clearly in the crosshairs of a lot of people in this city.
I was talking to some folks there, and they said, first off, that the majority of the board isn't African American. You have those three resignations, and then, of course, they released a statement where they acknowledged that the drama this was created in Birmingham.
Yeah, that's true. And I know some of the people on the board, and most of them are good people, and we're still waiting to figure out how they came to this extremely bad decision and what were the factors, what were the pressures that led them to do it, and how they could not see this fallout coming. That still has not been explained to us. We've not gotten behind the curtain enough to find out exactly how this came about. We just know it came about quickly. It came about due to pressure from the Jewish organizations, from many Jewish organizations in the city. Most of people that I've spoken with in the Jewish community were surprised that they canceled the gala. They certainly had the right to express their opinion and their misgivings about the honoree, and that is their right. But the fact that the honor was canceled, that the honor was rescinded, and that the gala was canceled caught many of them by surprise.
And of course, the pressure also added by the fact that the city council and I think it was also the school district who both passed resolutions praising the work of Angela Davis. Roy, did you hear me there?
I did. I just heard. I didn't hear the last part.
The city council and the school board, I believe, both of them, they passed resolutions praising the work of Angela Davis, correct?
Yes, those organizations both did that very publicly. Yesterday, the city council, in an impassioned speech by one of the councilors, talked about the importance of Angela Davis and the importance of running your own institutions, and how the fact that if that had been a man, it probably would not have been done the way it came down. And then the school board gave its own resolution today. So organizations around the city are coming out in favor of honoring Angela Davis. And then, of course, as you mentioned at the top of the show, a coalition of local leaders, academics, business leaders, political leaders have come together and decided there will be an event celebrating Angela Davis on February 16th.
Let's talk about that. And it's not going to be a ticketed event. It's going to be open to the public, correct?
It's a grassroots event. They have not decided the venue. It's going to be a conversation with Angela Davis to talk about not just her legacy, but her work around the world now for human rights. And it'll be open, and it'll be an opportunity for everyone to come. I spoke with one of the organizations that sent a letter to the Civil Rights Institute saying that they asking them to reconsider their selection of her. And the head of that board, who said that they unanimously sent the letter, said they would welcome the opportunity to sit down with Professor Davis when she was here, and perhaps start a dialogue to see if they could come to some common ground.
This also, I believe, this also causes folks to confront this whole issue of Black-Jewish relations. Of course, we recently saw Mark Lamont Hill, who was fired from CNN because of his public support for Palestinians. Of course, Angela Davis said in her own statement that was the reason why this decision was made, even though the Civil Rights Institute has yet to say exactly what comments from her public record that they say do not meet the criteria of the Fred Shuttlesworth Award. And are any folks talking about that, this whole idea of black folks and Jewish folks in Birmingham being at odds over issues like this?
Well, what's interesting is what people are talking about is that there are numerous coalitions between African Americans and people in the Jewish community working on various projects. This was an instance that I think caught many people by surprise. Certainly anyone has the right to express their opinion and object to anyone being honored, but I haven't run across anyone in the Jewish community here who expected that the BCRI would comply with their request and then cancel their event. So I think you're going to see more opportunities and more, maybe not through the BCRI, but see more events that are trying to bring people together to have an open dialogue about the things that matter to each organization, to each community, and see if there can be more of an effort to move forward in a positive way. The head of the board for the Birmingham Holocaust Education Center, which did send a letter to BCRI, said she hopes that something good does come out of this because every city needs it, and certainly Birmingham is one.
All right, Roy Johnson, AL.com. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right.
I want to bring my panel right now. We have Rena Shaw-Barrar, Republican strategist, also Joe Madison, a Sirius XM radio show host, Monique Presley, attorney, and of course we also have Bill Spriggs, economist, AFL-CIO, Howard University. Folks, again, this went from rescinding the decision on Friday to them not commenting. They still have not commented beyond these board members resigning. Now 3 folks resigning, lots of public pressure. Pretty stupid move by the Civil Rights Institute.
Very stupid move. And here we are in 2019 with an individual who, by the way, has world recognition. And, you know, it takes you back to you know, the 60s, maybe even the 50s. And of all places, Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm
a woman who's a native of Birmingham.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just so glad that Fred Shuttlesworth isn't alive to see this, because I'm certain he would be outraged to know that his name has been besmirched like this.
Monique, you had Roy made a point about one of the council members talked about that they would have not done this to a male recipient. Now, what's interesting is that last year Harry Belafonte was one of the recipients, has been very critical of Israel. Danny Glover is a previous recipient, also critical of Israel. Those awards were never rescinded. Now is the case with Angela Davis.
Right. We see the misogyny and the sexism kicking up all over the place, and I call it the era of Trump. But we also see the just privilege and the exertion of power and privilege in much more of an entitled fashion due to the current climate. So I think that this isn't just about, obviously, Angela Davis. It's not just about Jewish-Black relations. It's about a white power center that can flex its muscle, and it doesn't have to be on the conservative side. It can be on the liberal side as well, and that's what we saw happen here.
Rena, Bill?
Yeah, I would say, you know, what's most disappointing is that she's not being judged on, it's been said, the totality of her work. You know, that's really disappointing. And as a millennial, I got to put that hat on for a minute, because I think young people in this country, we grew up thinking our country's so diverse and that diversity of thought is encouraged. And last I checked, you know, this is the United States of America. It's not Israel. This whole defending Israel at all costs is so, it just is, it confuses me on so many levels, because I think I see it happening the most out of the right. I know it's happening on the left as well, especially last week with the talk of Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and her comments, you know, highlighting again, she's a Palestinian woman. The conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, again, I remain so confused by why we can't inject our American ideals into this conversation and say, hey, this is wrong. Somebody should, again, we should talk about the fact that founding farmers, it was in that article, the AL.com article, that founding farmers have owned slaves. Why aren't we rescinding awards of all these people who have done all these controversial things? Why just Angela Davis? So it's very confusing for me. Again, I can't stop using that word.
Bill?
Well, I think, you know, we have to get back to what is it that she objected to.
Which they still have not said, and would not even tell her.
Correct. And it creates division at a time in the progressive community. We don't need division. And if they were surprised or shocked that they got this reaction from the commission, then shame on them. Don't raise the issue if it's not going to be that serious to you.
Also, I appreciate that grassroots folks, Joe, have responded and are going to still say they're going to hold an event
Absolutely.
on February 16th to honor her.
And that's exactly what should happen. You know, most of these significant changes, all significant changes, quite candidly, always start from the bottom up. And that's what this is an example of. And as the panel was talking, I just wonder how many of these people in Birmingham who object to whatever they object to and not telling anybody have been to Israel themselves, where even Israelis disagree over issues as it relates to the Palestinian and the Israeli conflict there. I've been to Israel, and I've met with people who have been both Israeli Jews, who have been Palestinians. Many of them have tried to work together. They often object. There's debate within.
This is one of those debates we can actually say there are good people on both sides.
Yeah,
I hate that phrase now, but it's kind of true, you know.
But if you, but I bet you after they see this podcast, I'll bet you anything, Roland. Now they're going to come up with some kind of explanation. But the reality is, you're right. It's going to happen anyway. She's going to be honored. She's worth listening to. I mean, this goes back to, remember when, I'm old enough to remember when the people rejected Angela Davis because they thought she was a communist.
Right.
You know, this is absurd in this day and age.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.